Welcome to my 13 Horrifically Silly Days of Halloween blog series. I am here today with Justine Alley Dowsett of Mirror World Publishing. I actually interviewed her a couple years back, but that was just by email. This time we are on Zoom together. And welcome, Justine. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me back.
Great. And now, please introduce yourself more fully, and as well also Mirror World Publishing, please. Thank you.
So as you said, I'm Justine Alley Dowsett. I am an author of more than 10 novels now, a couple shorter works as well. And I'm also one of the owners of Mirror World Publishing. We've been in business since 2014, so it's been a little while.
Yeah.
And we're up to about 20 authors thereabouts and about almost 35-ish titles. So we've got quite a few books to choose from. Yeah. So Mirror World Publishing, basically our mission is to allow readers to escape into, creative worlds of fiction and just to experience different things through reading, and then through doing so hopefully they can learn something about this world. So that's the idea, that there are multiple different realms to experience.
Right. All right. Yeah. Now, one of the main reasons that I like to have you on this particular blog series is because you both publish and write very genre stuff, and now you've got a little bit of horror or semi-horror stuff to talk about this time, I think, right?
Yeah, that's new.
Yeah. So, okay. First, please tell me about Mirror World's upcoming anthology. If you could give an overall description, a little bit of teaser of some of what the stories are that are in there, and a wee bit about the authors, when it comes out, when it's available for purchase. Yeah, that'd be great.
So typically Mirror World Publishing has always been novels. We've always written novels and maybe a couple novellas, but we've stayed away from short stories. And that was mostly because I didn't have a lot of experience writing them, so I wasn't so confident, being the one editing and selecting them and that sort of thing. But now that I've gotten some experience doing that, I was like, why don't we? An anthology is perfect for showing multiple worlds in one book. So that's exactly what the Far, Far Away anthology is just different creative worlds that these authors have come up with, and like a glimpse into each of them. So they're all very different from one another on purpose. And these 7 stories, well, 6 of them anyway, are the winning stories from the contest we ran last year. So yeah, they were the best of the best. And then we also threw in a novella from myself and Meredith Damodred, who's my co-writer. So that's kind of like a bonus story at the end. So we've got that one, which is called Fate Storm, which is like a historical romance kind of fantasy thing. We've got a sci-fi kind of speculative story that's set in the far future on a spaceship about humans basically living beyond their allotted time and trying to extend their lifespan so they can travel through space. We've got one that is a speculative science fiction that's about science fiction speculative romance about how love makes you see in color. So it's a world without color until you find your soulmate, and then all of a sudden you start to see colors. So it's kind of taking that idea and playing with it. The other science fiction is set on another world, and it's like an adventure survival story. That one's by Brittany Bryn. I believe she's been on your show before. So that one. And then we've got another pure fantasy novella by Baron New Stratton III, who lives in Australia. So that was just like a pure fantasy adventure about discovering like an island and a shipwrecked and survivors and the mysteries that are there. So there's that one. I'm sure I'm missing one. Oh yes, sorry. And and then we have The Prime Crusade, which is by Buddy Young, and that one is a time travel. It is amazing. It's a time travel adventure, and I don't really want to give anything away because it'll spoil it. But essentially, it starts on the Hindenburg and it goes from there. So
Very cool.
Yeah, I love that one. So I'll show it here because I actually brought it. So this is the cover art there for Far, Far Away. And this book's on pre-order right now, and it will be out July 17th.
Cool.
or sorry, June 17th. Yeah, June 17th.
Okay.
And yeah, so you can get it at any point. You can buy it from Mirror World, or you can buy it on Amazon, wherever you get your books from. So.
And by the time this is posted, you will definitely be able to get it. It'll be out.
Exactly. Yeah. But I'm super proud of this one, and it's just a lot of work and a lot of creative minds went into it, and just like the amount of creativity that is involved is just phenomenal. Like, I just feel that this really embodies what Mirror World's trying to do, like show all these different worlds and let you travel to them. So we kind of framed it like an itinerary. So like each of the stories like are a different place, and that's how it looks like in the format of the book. So it's neat. Yeah.
Very, very cool. I'm looking forward to picking it up myself. So now let me see here. Okay, let's now shift gears a little bit and talk about your sci-fi horror novelette that's included in Zombie Pirate Publishing's anthology. So a different publisher, but your story. And yeah, tell me about it and when and where it will be available.
Yeah, so my background was in science fiction originally, but then in the last decade or so, I've kind of veered away from it, and I've been writing solely like fantasy romance kind of stuff. So this was really a return to my roots, going back to science fiction, which and it was so totally new because I actually put some horror elements in there, and I don't normally dive into horror, so that was different. But essentially, what this was is about a year ago, Zombie Pirate Publishing posted a call for a contest, and the contest was, we're going to give you a genre, and then you have a theme, and then you have 7 days to write, edit, and submit a novelette, they called it. So that's about 15,000 words, or about 60 pages in print. Yeah. So they announced that theme. We had just finished writing Fate Storm, which is the one that appears in the Far, Far Away anthology. And we're like, why not? We're on a roll. Let's do this, right? So they announced the theme, and I just went blank. I was like, oh no, what do I write? So I slept on it. And the very next morning, I was like, I have an idea. What about solar sailing pirates on the rings of Saturn? So, why not, right? So I did tons of research on Saturn and on just the science behind how the rings work and their gravitational pull, and like what solar power would be like out there, and just anything I could look up. And we came up with the Cassini division, which is the name of the space between the A ring and B ring of Saturn, and the name of the first probe that was sent there. So yeah, we named it after that because the plot is basically that there was a colony ship called the Cassini, which was sent to inhabit Titan, which is one of Mars's moons, but it didn't make it. It only got as far as the rings and got stranded in that specific part of the ring there. So the colony ship was where they lived for a number of years, but they were forced to abandon it when it slid behind Saturn and lost all of its solar power when it went into the dark area. So they now call that the Black, and they avoid it at all costs. And they live in these little habitation pods that are powered by the sun, and they kind of sail around on them. But because resources now have become so scarce, 10 or 20 years down the road, they're now kind of like fighting with each other and pirating from each other. So that's the setting where this story takes place.
Very, very cool. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Well, looking forward to that as well. Let me see. Oh yeah, and it is out now?
It is out now. It came out May 1st. That's the title cover page there. We're the first story inside of it, so it is kind of a thick book. But yeah, we're the first story. There's 8 stories in there, and it's about $20 on Amazon. So
great. All right, I have to pick that one up too. Okay, so now I wanted to chat with you about the second volume of your sci-fi fantasy series that you're releasing in July, so it'll be out by the time this is posted as well. But yeah, tell me about the first volume a little bit too, and then tell me about the second volume that's we can look forward to.
So the first series I ever published was called Crimson Winter, and it is a science fiction fantasy YA. So it's set on another planet, but it's students from Tokyo, Japan. So the kids are from, well, I wouldn't say kids, they're 16 teenagers who are from Japan, who basically get transported to another world, and they're told that in order to go home, they have to accept their destinies as being like the chosen ones of the god of that planet, and save the world to be able to go home. You know, typical typical kind of quest story. But the setting is anything but. It's a desert planet where the sun never sets. So there's constant daylight, and there's not a lot of moisture to be had. So they have to learn also to survive while they're kind of developing these weird powers because of the god that's, you know, sponsoring them or whatever. And they're being chased by the armies of the vile emperor who rules kind of like a dictator of the nearby country. So yeah, so it's that's the first novel is them arriving there and them kind of starting to come into their own. The second book is where they get to the last bastion of fertile land, called the Lands of Jade, which is the name of the book. So they get to the Lands of Jade and they have to defend it, defend its borders. They've made an alliance with the rulers there to protect it from this dictator who's ruling the other land. And basically the stakes are upped because suddenly, unexpectedly, the sun sets for the first time in like a millennia or whatever. Yeah, none of the people of the planet expect it, but they know what darkness is and they understand it. So you know, that's basically in the darkness, monsters start waking up that were from the old world long ago. So yeah. Yeah, so that's book 2 is mostly about that.
Myself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I like to have books that have bring in elements of everything. So there'll be a little bit of science fiction, a little fantasy, a little humor, a little romance. Like I like to mix it up. So it's got a lot of all of that.
Terrific. Okay. And okay, that's releasing in July.
July 17th for that one.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I just wanted to ask you sort of a few broad questions before getting into my typical questions that I ask everybody in this blog series. But okay, why is genre publishing in particular, genre publishing and writing, why is this important to you?
Well, that's what I grew up reading. For me, I was very imaginative kid. I still am. So I just like to escape kind of reality, especially right now. You don't want to live in this drab, terrible world that we're in. So, you know, reading provides that escape. It allows you to experience a world that's, you know, different from our own. You learn about other people's cultures. You can learn about, you know, anything pretty much, and just getting to live another person's experience through reading that. It's I feel like I've lived like a million different lives just having done that. So I like to be able to provide that, you know, in my writing as well for other people.
Very cool.
And that's really what Mirror World Publishing is about, is just providing those windows into other worlds.
Yeah. All right. Now, what can we look forward to from you as an author in and Mirror World Publishing as well in 2022?
Well, our submissions for Mirror World open in November. We're actually thinking of opening them a little earlier this year. So by the time this video comes out, they should be open. We're thinking October this year. So that's pretty exciting. Yep. And 2022, we're hoping to take on a few new authors. So that'll be good to look forward to. We also want to run in 2022 another anthology contest, do volume 2 of Far, Far Away, hopefully. So that'll be nice. From myself, I have a book that I wrote during a residency a couple years ago in New Orleans that I've kind of been sitting on and I always mean to get to. So I'm hoping that this will be motivation to, you know, go and rework it and actually get it out and get it done for 2022. But it's basically another fantasy romance, but it's taking its inspiration from fairy tales. And I know everybody loves like a fairy tale retelling, but this is its own fairy tale without actually copying anything or being from anything particular. So
nice.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Now, the questions I ask everybody and who comes to be a guest on this blog series. And I know that you've answered these questions before in writing, but as we were discussing before, a little different on video, you might have changed your mind, something new might have come along, I don't know. But And even if they're the same answer, so be it. What is your favorite horror movie of all time and why?
So I was thinking about that, and I wouldn't say favorite, but definitely scariest horror movie of all time would be The Exorcist. Absolute scariest movie of all time. But as for favorite, it'd probably be Tommy Knockers. I don't know if you remember that one by Stephen King.
Yeah, I have
Yeah,
not seen it in a long, long time. What about it
yeah.
you like?
Well, it's that sci-fi horror, right?
Of course.
So yeah. So
Well, that makes
I
sense.
like the yeah, the idea of like just it being possible, I think is what makes it scarier for me.
Yeah,
Because it does have a one foot in science kind of thing. So yeah.
right. Gotcha. Okay, I'm gonna let Jack
Also
pass.
that green light, it stays with me.
The green light, yeah, the glow.
Yeah.
Pretty more than
Yeah.
a glow, really. Yeah, was it Jimmy Smits who was in it?
I don't remember.
Yeah, okay, well, doesn't matter. All right, I have to look at that one again and just refresh my memory. Okay, so what about your favorite horror novel or author of all time and why? Or as close to horror with horror elements or whatever, you know?
Yeah, I don't read a lot of horror personally, but probably the most horror that I've read is Stephen King. And
Mhm.
that's not because I particularly like Stephen King, because I don't necessarily. Like, he's okay.
Yeah,
But I find that's the level of horror that I can handle.
uh,
You know what I mean? So
I do.
yeah, so that would be that. I was actually thinking about this earlier, and probably something that's not classified as horror, but I actually find particularly scary is The Handmaid's Tale.
Oh yeah, no, it is. That's a special kind of scary right
It's
there.
exactly so dark dystopia for me is more of a horror situation than, anything supernatural.
That's legit though, because
Yeah,
yeah, it is
it's
frightening.
too real. It's too
Yeah,
close. Yeah.
yeah, especially fairly recently, actually. Like Anyway, leaving that right alone. Now, okay, do you have a favorite Canadian horror movie by any chance, and or novel or genre?
Yeah, I don't pay a lot of attention to whether something is made in Canada or made in the US, and maybe I should yeah,
Yeah.
considering I'm a Canadian publisher. Yeah, so I don't really pay attention with that, but I know The Handmaid's Tale is Canadian, so that
Yes.
does count
It does.
for novels.
Mhm.
Also, the TV show for it, I don't know if that was Canadian or not, but I found that really hard to watch, like really good, but
Oh,
really
absolutely.
painful.
Yeah. I've only seen the two first seasons. I haven't seen
Yeah, me
season three,
too.
but
I had to stop. I had to stop after that. I couldn't watch any more of it. So,
it's
uh,
very not only scary in this very different way, it's also like a big downer too. I mean,
yeah,
yeah, I mean, it's
yeah.
dystopian. That's what's going to happen. But
It's the most painful dystopian I've probably ever watched. Like, it really hurts to watch it.
yeah, it does. Yeah, yeah, good choice. And I think it's at least partially Canadian in that that it collects tax credits here and shot a lot of it, if not all of it here.
Yeah,
It just
and the,
whether it's Toronto or outside in the GTA. Yeah,
yeah, and the source material being Canadian doesn't
of
hurt.
course. Yeah,
Yeah.
very much so, Margaret Atwood. Yeah. Okay. So let me see here now. How about fave horror comedies, whether books, movies, Canadian or otherwise?
Yeah. So for movie, have you seen Rubber?
No.
You have to watch it.
Yeah. Okay.
You have to watch it.
Yeah.
It is hilarious, but it's also surreal, and it's its own definite genre. But it is a horror comedy because it's about a killer tire.
Of course. Right.
So
Okay.
yes, the tire's name is Rubber, or
It's gotta be.
Robert because it's a French movie, and it rolls around, and the camera just shows from its perspective
Yeah.
how it goes around and kills people, and then it keeps cutting in with different scenes from the people watching the film. So there's actual people who are like watching this tire roll around and kill people. It's very odd. So
Great.
that's, yeah, movies, that would be what comes to mind. Books, I'm gonna have to plug an author I know, and go with Elizabeth J.M. Walker's This Night Sucks. I don't know if
Yes.
you've read it, but it is
Yes,
hilarious.
it is. It is. I enjoyed it. Yeah, so we'll also include links for all of your stuff and that one again, because why not? Um, now switching over to B movies,
Mhm.
because B movies can be horror or not. They most often are at least a little bit genre of some sort, but not always. Like there's always The Room. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen that masterpiece or not, but
No, I have not.
it's funny and not on purpose.
That's the
But
best kind.
or at least, well, Tommy Wiseau, who did the film, would have you believe now that oh no,
Mhm.
it was always intended to be a comedy, but
Okay, yes, yep, yep.
yeah,
Seen
sure,
parts. I've seen parts of it, yeah.
yeah, like Disaster Artist. Have you seen that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't see that movie, but I've watched the nostalgia critic of The Room, so I'm
Oh, okay.
well
All right. All
versed.
right.
Yeah,
Disaster Artist is also a lot of fun to watch too,
I
but
can
you
imagine.
should follow it up with The Room or watch The Room beforehand or whatever. It's yeah. Anyway, way off track here. B movies. Do you have any favorite B movies in general? Do any happen to be Canadian? That's a little more obscure, but I know about.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's a B movie per se, but another horror comedy that is particularly hilarious, and I've seen a dozen times, is Maximum Overdrive. Is another Stephen King. Oh my God, I love that movie. It
Yeah,
is
that's.
so
I
funny.
would call that a B movie. I would.
Yeah, it's on the line though.
Yeah. No,
But
I mean it's clearly a horror movie for sure, and a
yeah.
horror comedy, but yeah, I do hope that that's what they were aiming for because otherwise,
Yeah. But it's excellent. It
yeah,
is. It's
yeah,
excellent.
it's fun.
But yeah, we've over I can't think of any titles off the top of my head, but over the years we've made a habit of finding movies that are particularly bad to watch on purpose.
Yeah.
Like the Sharknadoes of the world. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been exposed to even more and more B movie and just indie movie and low budget movie stuff through iSource Cinema since I did an interview
Mm.
with the guy who runs that shop. It's in Toronto, and yeah, there's just so much stuff. There's this. I have not seen this movie yet, but you can rent it from them, and it's a Canadian B movie, and it's called Pike.
Okay.
It's about a pike.
Of course it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it kills people, and
That's all you need for a concept for a B movie is blah. Like, here's an object, it kills
it
people.
kills people. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Somebody actually, and I can't remember the filmmakers' names, but this was during the 2019 Blood in the Snow Festival, and it was a short film about a printer. I think it was inkjet or laser, and that killed people. So, like anything, really, literally, you can. So, but
Yeah.
that's the fun thing about these kinds of movies. Anyway, last but not least, I'd like to ask you about your Halloween ritual. What
Yeah.
and also what it usually is and how it may have changed during COVID.
Yeah, yeah. Well, our traditionally our ritual has been a potluck. So everybody in our friend group kind of makes, a signature dish, and then we all come together and have a big feast while we hand out candy. So unfortunately with COVID last year was just kind of a sad hide in the basement kind of year. So, pretend you're not home, turn the lights off and just hide in the basement and, hang out. So that was kind of sad. Halloween for me is a big, is a big holiday. So I think all holidays pretty much got canceled this year though.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know what we'll do this year. I think that's still up in the air. Hopefully things are a little better by then and we can at least have maybe a small gathering. That
Yeah.
would be nice. Yeah.
Really, I was able to get away with a little bit of stuff in that, like I did the Monster Dash was a virtual thing, so I got to dress up and just I walk it usually, because with sometimes with my costumes too, it's easier than trying to run, but yeah, so I was still able to do that virtually, but even that was different. So I was still able to do stuff sort of, but it all had to be modified. And at least watching horror movies, or B movies or whatever doesn't get affected.
That's true.
You
That's true.
can always do that, or
Neither does reading. Yep.
exactly, read a horror novel all month, or like several all month. Yeah, so there's always that. There's always some way to celebrate anyway. Thank you so much for being my guest today, Justine. It was great talking to you.
You too.
Thank you.